there's a lot that can get in the way of this thing. And, there's certainly, going back to our map, there's certainly, an intention by the kingdom of darkness to make that so.
Right.
But I think there's so much of it that is under our own control. That's not to make anyone feel condemned or whatever. I mean, I get distracted plenty often. I think if we can exercise our will and understand the purpose behind the need for that, then it becomes a little bit clearer. And so, again, this question is a little bit of assessment, but it's also so that we can see it better.
With God, there is always more. More love, more life, more freedom. Welcome to Zoe's Exploring More with Michael Thompson. C.S. Lewis once wrote, "Our Heavenly Father has provided many delightful ends for us along our journey, but He takes great care to see that we do not mistake any of them for home." Join me and the team as we explore the kingdom together, discovering the deep truths and offering encouragement for the journey. There is always more.
Welcome, friends and allies, to the Exploring More podcast. Michael Thompson hanging out with SJ Jennings, exploring the kingdom in the beginning of our first kind of mile markers in this series called Father Matters. And loved talking about kind of laying the groundwork, why are we talking about fatherhood and why does it matter, and all of that goodness that we don't want to get into the world of repeating. But I was working, as we were working on this devotional, and we have the West and East circles moving with us, and we're having a conversation about this. I was messing around with AI. And it's amazing, man. So kind of put this in to the AI system, and there's it gave me some notes, some thoughts, and I thought, this is brilliant. So 3 realities that were in this series. I just want to share these before we take a break. But 3 realities that AI perceived from our 8 weeks with West and East, or 8-day devotional, however it's going to play. Here's the 3 realities that it pulled from what we're talking about in this series. Yes. Okay. Thank you. We cannot father well apart from being fathered.
Well said.
God is not a concept. He is actively reparenting us.
Wow.
I love that. Number 2, reality.
Take credit for these things.
Well, I gave it the info.
Wow. That's right. It's built. You were the foundation of its.
Thank you.
Of its way of thinking.
That's right. So you could say I was fathering my little AI buddy person. So that's the first one. We cannot father well apart from being fathered. God is not a concept. He is actively reparenting us. Love that. Number 2, reality. Fathering is relational, not transactional. Presence, repair, blessing, and initiation matter more than outcomes. That one I need to chew on that.
Yeah.
I have had, and I think most of us do as dads, somehow we fall victim to this idea that our children are the commentary. They're the verdict on us as men, like what they're doing or what they're not doing, how much they make, what their status is.
That's exhausting.
And then right there next to it, I think, SJ, is the challenge to take credit for that. And we sure don't want to take blame, for when it isn't or they're not. So it's just a very bad road to go down. And I really appreciated fathering is relational, not transactional.
Yeah.
Okay. That's second. So third, fatherhood never ends. Third reality from AI. Fatherhood never ends. Our children's age does not disqualify our influence, prayers, humility, or love.
All right. Series over.
I mean,
yeah.
I thought that was I just was excited to intro with that.
That's fascinating.
And say.
Talk about reading between the lines of the content you fed it.
And yeah, I need summaries like that. I need some things to, as an author and writer, I can get really caught up in the paragraphs. Mm-hmm. I don't have any problem adding to them.
Right.
But to call the beginning and the end of one week with the West and East, the beginning and end of one session for, those who will join this and look at this on YouVersion. But I just thought that was powerful. We cannot father well apart from being fathered. Fathering is relational, not transactional, and fatherhood never ends. Wow. That's why father matters. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back on the Exploring More podcast after this break.
Yeah, so possibly one of the most profound moments of my life, really. It was up at one of the old Top Gun events in the mountains up in Virginia. And I remember just really struggling, sitting up literally on top of the mountain. I hiked up there that day, looking out over the camp. It's beautiful, and feeling like I was in the presence of so many men that had such a connection with God. That what's wrong with me? Why doesn't God ever talk to me? Like all these guys are talking about this great experience. And so I spent some time reflecting on that. And as I was walking back down the mountain, all that was in my head was, God, I need to hear you. I need to hear your voice. I need to hear, some semblance of life from you. And as I'm walking, I literally start hearing this running water in the middle of coming down a mountain. I mean, there's not really anything around but brush. It's a mess, and my legs are getting all torn up by the brambles. And I hear this running water, and so I'm thinking, God, this is crazy. And I start to walk over towards it, towards the sound, and find this running creek of just amazing, beautiful spring water. A nice mountain spring that shouldn't have been there. And in my head, I was thinking about God and the sort of the analogy of the river of life and all these things. And then there's this water in the stream, and all of this is happening at once. But I'm thinking to myself, just like show me some kind of light, Lord, show me a light. I'm almost the movie, what's the movie with Bruce Almighty where, show me a sign, and he keeps going by the billboards every time, and he never, just show me a sign, and the signs are all over like falling off of trucks. It was that silly almost that I in my head phrased the words, I just need a light or something from you. And I look down in the stream, there's literally a yellow flashlight sitting in the bottom of the stream. I'm not making this up. And I was just, and so in my head, I'm just questioning, this is so stupid. There's no way this is actually happening. And I sort of made this condition with myself. If I pick up that flashlight, it works. This is real. Dude, I swear, I picked up that flashlight, flipped it. It was a pelican light covered in moss. It shone a light as clear as could be. And it was just amazing. And I kind of heard, felt, experienced, just, I hear you. I see you, and I've got something for you. It was just amazing, and I've been off ever since. Like, you can't come back from that. It was pretty wonderful and pretty powerful.
Welcome back to the Exploring More podcast, where we're talking about father matters and exploring the significance and the weightiness of the role, and the opportunity to be encouraged, equipped, and invited, right, to do this, to do it well.
Yeah.
To do it well.
Yeah.
And so
I noticed it in between episodes today as we were recording. It got chilly. It was chilly in here. It's cold
out.
So you put that cool hoodie on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
rocking my hoodie.
I'm rocking my DFG hoodie.
Available at zoeoutpost.com.
Right.
Yeah.
So we hit the first session.
That looks so weird.
All right. We hit the first episode with you're a son before you're a father. And in this episode, we're really talking about being present.
Power of presence.
The power of
and
presence.
We talked about it some in our series over the Christmas holiday.
Yeah.
We talked about the power of presence and the presence is the present.
Yeah, that's right.
But specifically now, how does it translate into fathering and being fathered?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're in this I think we're going to find this rhythm, SJ, a little bit of we look at our fathers, and that's where we want to camp for a minute, and then we'll look at our fatherhood, and so it's so interesting, well, let's just jump into that in those two ways, and I think talk about your father's presence in your story.
Yeah, so this is no surprise, this is the paragraph that kind of stood out. And if you're just joining us, for the first time or the first time in this series, what we're talking about, Father Matters, is based on a devotional, 8-day, 8-week, however you want to break it up. Mm-hmm. And so right out of that, distraction is one of his most effective strategies, him being the enemy, against fathers. Busyness, phones, fatigue, even good intentions can keep us unavailable. The danger isn't that we're physically absent. It's that we're emotionally gone while we're sitting right there. So, yeah, that's kind of the story of my dad. My dad was physically there until I was 23. He died when I was 23 years old. And he was what I would consider young now that I'm approaching the age of 65. Yeah, so he was there, but did not feel available to me. I probably can count on the fingers of one hand the number of times that he made himself available to me. Mm-hmm. So the message to my heart as a little guy was, I'm on my own. I got to figure this out.
Yeah.
So it's very, very true, and it was true in my story too when I became a dad. Going back to what we talked about in the last episode, you are being taught, you are being indoctrinated, you're being groomed, to father a certain way, whether you want to or not, and so. When I was a dad, and still am, but when I was a younger dad, I should say, and my son was younger, I was around, but I was
not very present,
distant,
and
emotionally unavailable.
Yeah, great. Yep.
So yeah, that was, and it led to a lot of like, what did I do? Like a kid, a kid that's going through divorce, his parents are divorcing. Why is it? What did I do? It's my fault. Kids want to assign blame to themselves.
Yeah, responsibility.
To try to explain and understand what it is that's happening around them that's outside of their control. Because if it's their fault, they can conceptualize why it might be happening.
And then they're going to respond.
Sure.
In a variety of ways.
And it may or may not be true.
Right.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course it's not true that, it's your fault as a little guy.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, there was a large part of my childhood where I wanted to learn about baseball, football, basketball, but my dad was in a wheelchair. And it's not that he didn't know about those things. He was a third base coach for a minor league baseball team, which I found out after he died. Never talked about baseball.
Yeah.
Not one time.
Yeah.
So what can I do to engage with him? And as I've shared before in my story, when I got older and became an adult, I was like, I'm going to engage with him, whether he likes it or not. And then he died.
Yeah, that's a great, thank you for, we're trying to bring some definition to this as we explain or revisit, what we experienced as sons from our father. And so before I share, I think you brought up some good things I just really want to highlight. One is engagement. Mm-hmm. So presence doesn't mean a physical presence, though that's a good start.
Yeah. You got to be in the room.
What it means is engaging. And when we say engaging, I want to finish this idea, a definition of a father who is present is one who is engaging their son or daughter in either their son or daughter's world or inviting them into their world.
Right.
That's presence.
Seizing opportunities whenever they might arise.
Taking them into your world or entering into their world.
Yeah, I told you, and it was a great invitation from my son. he bought me a computer, and he and I go on periodically and play, because he lives in Philadelphia and we're here in North Carolina. We'll play games together.
Gaming, yeah.
Not something I would necessarily do, but because he invited me into it, I've entered into it. I'm actually pretty good, too, for an older guy.
Get those thumbs going.
Anyway, your point.
Yeah, I mean, that's
engagement, seizing the opportunities.
And so when I think back to my dad and what I saw, and I've said this many times in different places, my dad was a World War II boy, where my grandfather came home from the war, and he really met his grandfather. He really met his dad when he was 5 on the streets of Mayberry, right, in little Edmond, Oklahoma, where I was born later. But that, and I think my dad's dad, my grandfather, came home with what most of those guys came home with: the inability to talk about it, and the invitation to just keep soldiering on. And so that generation, which has some of its great qualities, did not have a great fathering quality, most of them, because of what they experienced. That was a huge event for those guys.
And not being given any kind of tools or understanding to process what they had gone through.
Right. And it was a time of, probably in fathering, there was a much heavier hand in the disciplinary. Most men in their 70s and 80s and 90s right now, they'll talk about, the punitive. Oh, my dad was present.
Oh man, I even remember there was a cartoon in the 70s, I want to say, because I remember it. It would have been based on the people, the kids, like your dad's generation, of that generation. And it was called "Wait Till Your Father Gets Home."
Yeah. What a title, right?
That's
terrible.
He's gonna kick your ass, like
you're in big.
I mean, that's the implication, right? Wait till your dad gets home. I mean,
So that's what my dad experienced, and the presence when some of those men stepped into their fathering roles. The children would just assume they didn't. That's that's what that created. My dad wanted engagement, but what he got often was either being ignored or being punished, being criticized. But more so being ignored. It was my dad's experience. So I say that to say that affected.
Wait. Your dad's experience of you, or
no, of
his
him,
dad?
Of his dad
okay.
was.
His dad ignored him.
And therefore absence. There's but in the house, but not present by our definition of engaging in his world, or my dad being invited into, his world.
Right.
So his world, my dad; his world, my grandfather. So my dad took that, and I've shared this. What happened to me was I had a very present dad and very engaged dad. I'm the oldest of 3 boys and had a little sister who's 10 years younger, but the 3 boys were within 5 years. And so we had a dad who played, who roughhoused, who engaged.
Came to your games.
Came to games, coached teams. There was a lot of and that there's a presence there that I would say deserves credit, absolutely. And again, he wasn't emotionally, spiritually validated and initiated and brought forward. So he's making maps. He's not off his maps. He's actually trying to create
based upon
his own experience.
I'm not gonna do that.
I won't be like
to my kids.
Right.
So what was done to me.
So I would say it was present and engaged, and that provided a really good foundation in many, many ways, in significant ways. But I think, like a lot of men, there's a time when if that stopped in your life as a son, it probably has a good chance of stopping in your life as a father. So when I'm 14, 15, 16, we're still playing games. We're still at practice. He's either coaching teams or in the stands as other coaches in junior high and high school become part of the story, and engaged in some homework. So there's a functionality to this being present that can get chores done, can get homework done, can be there for the game and the pizza after. That is way better than nothing. Absolutely. But entering into my world, and my world being about sports and teams and playing and competing, but entering into these other parts of my world, I think my dad did what a lot of dads do, kind of taking their kids to church and letting the church do it.
Yeah.
So there's youth group there, but I don't remember ever. I don't remember. It doesn't mean it didn't happen, but I don't remember talking about sermons, talking about
what you
youth
heard.
group, talking about what you're learning.
Yeah.
There might have been a how was camp, or how was Sunday school.
Tell me about your worksheet that you filled out.
But if you're going to ask any kid, how was that?
Good.
It was fine.
I like the pizza.
Probably fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jimmy's
kind of a jerk.
So a presence, SJ, what I want to say to the dads and to us is a presence that asks meaningful questions. That is a really significant way to engage. So not just how was it, how was school, but if you don't know there was a test that day, or that they're getting their papers back that particular day, and what's Johnny, gonna say, especially if that didn't go so well or isn't going so well. I think that's where the ability to know what's going on in their story, and appropriately inviting them into some of the family story and what's going on as a man in his 30s, 40s, and 50s. That's where initiation can happen if you can bring him or her into some of your story. And if you can enter into their story, of course, there's opportunities.
Yeah, this is I want you, if you will, share the story of, just to put legs on this even a little bit more. There was a story, and this was with, I think, your nephew, but you were riding somewhere, but this is an example of how a father can go a little bit deeper, right? So he's in the back seat.
Yeah.
And says, "Man, I hate soccer."
No, so I asked how soccer was going because I knew this was going on with my nephew. So I just asked, "Hey, how's soccer going?" And my brother-in-law, his dad, said, "Tell him how soccer's going." I hate soccer.
Right. So you could, in that moment, let's just say in that moment, you're his dad. You could say, which a lot of us heard, "Well, we don't talk like that."
Yeah.
Hate's not a word we use.
Yeah, correction, or even I think about.
What's happening in that moment in the little guy's heart?
I can't share my feelings.
That's right. I'm not allowed to feel how I feel. It's wrong. Somehow he's not safe. Obviously, I can't talk to him about it. Now, I'm not saying these are, literal conscious thoughts. But some of them are,
the experience,
and it's happening to them.
The experience leads to those conclusions.
Versus, he says that in the back seat, and what did you say?
It was a lot of energy, so I was like, "Whoa, tell me about that. What do you hate about it? What?" And he described 2 or 3 things about the other kids being unkind, not knowing how to play. It's his first year. He came in a couple years after other kids had already started. The coach yells, and it feels a certain way. So having my own experience with such a story, I said, "Well, buddy, I'm not sure you hate soccer. I think you don't. I think you hate not being good at something. I get that.
Not knowing what to do.
I get that. I think you hate being yelled at. I don't like that either. I'm with you, man. And hate, when other kids are mean.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Very, very different outcome, and a great example of of an opportunity, right?
Yeah.
So being present, I think, as a dad is being awake and alert to opportunities. And nobody's going to bat 1,000,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But, you know, we've said this before, major league hitter, if you're batting 325, 350, maybe 400, you're an all-star. You know, so if you can try to be present enough to pay attention and seize those moments, not with correction. You know, correction's important.
And there's a time for it.
There's a time for it.
Earn the right to have that time. Don't jump to that.
I mean, that story is actually a story of correction, but it's not a correction of behavior. It's correction of course.
Of how he's seeing it.
It's a course correction, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So seizing opportunities as a dad is part of being present. And if you're not engaged, listening, you can say, hey, how was soccer today? Yeah. And they say, great. And you just go on about your day and make a phone call.
Yeah.
Or you could, they say something like, how was soccer today? And they say, man, I don't like it all that much. Well, we paid for it, so you're going to keep doing it. You know,
right.
I mean, seize the opportunity in a moment.
To find clarity and definition and understanding. Ask,
so important.
Back to engaging, like I said before, is the opportunity to ask some engaging questions.
Right.
You know, and to find out why they feel and why they think the way they think and feel. And don't worry about correction, right? If you can pursue what you're saying of understanding, you might be then able to actually comment on something more accurately because you dug a little bit with intentionality.
Right.
And I do know this, that, you know, there were times when I actually was more engaged with other employees where I worked, people at church than my own kids. I knew more because I could. I mean, most people have some relational skills that they know intuitively how to engage in somebody at work or at church or at school, you know. And so, but why we abandon that as dads, I don't know. I don't know why I think I felt inaccurately. I think I believed that because I was physically present, I was present.
Yeah, and I would add, I think for a lot of dads, there's, you know, when you're talking about teammates or coworkers or other people that you're come in contact with in other arenas, there's more of a, I think there's a disconnection from performance with them, because my kids are my kids.
Yeah.
You know, and so
right.
I'm we're exploring this together, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm more free to engage at a deeper level with people outside of my family that I don't go home to or with.
Yeah.
You know, and there isn't a scorecard associated with them.
Yeah. So I'm just going to give some soft ones.
Yeah.
What are your kids listening to? What's their favorite music or podcasts or shows? What are they watching?
Mm-hmm.
Right? These are places of engagement.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's not just enough to sit and watch the Golden Globes with them. Right? What do they like? Can you ask some questions? And you might get shushed.
Yeah.
You know, and you might just say, "Hey, you hit pause real quick. You said something about that gown. Tell me about that."
Yeah.
Who is that?
We used to have to wait for commercials to ask questions about anything. Now you can pause.
Yeah. So I think when we're talking about engagement, and I think we have to talk about, you know, how to ask some of these questions. That questions and listening are a tremendous way to engage. Mm-hmm. But I want to talk to you about, and this is one of the questions that we have for the West and East circles. It's in the devotional, and it's about distraction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where does distraction pull me away from my children? And what is it?
Yeah.
Is it phones? Is it busyness? Is it fatigue, anxiety? Yeah.
Yeah.
How am I distracted from being engaged?
I think one of them for me that's easy is money. And more month sometimes
Oh yeah.
than check.
Yeah.
How to and I'm talking about the kind of money at our age that has more than a few zeros to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the expenses with the house have zeros to it.
Yeah.
And how are we going to finance, or how are we going to pay? How are we going to juggle? I mean, that can be not just in front of me when I'm looking at bills, right? That feels like it's on me.
Yeah, it can kind of hover on or over you, a cloud.
Right.
You could describe it that
way. The other thing that's really distracting is our mission, our team,
our work,
our the direction, the tremendous team here at Zoe, the day-to-day team. But are we rowing at the same time and in the same direction, or is somebody's paddle up? And you can, paddles can come up, but it can. Are we moving? So I can think a lot about that. I can engage a lot about that. We have meetings and conversations a lot about that.
Phone calls.
Yeah,
sure.
There's a lot. And so I am giving a lot of energy and time and effort. And Robin and I are empty nesters, so they're gone. And yet, like I do, because we'll be in a meeting and we just kind of have a rule. It's Stephen, let me take this.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's a text. Hey, are you okay? Can I call you later?
Mm-hmm.
No, I really need you now. Hey, I need, and so meeting's over. Go be dad.
Mm-hmm.
Go engage.
Yep.
And that the fact that we even know what's going on our team with a lot of one another's children,
sure,
adult children, I love that.
Me too.
And so distraction.
So this is kind of an assessment question.
A bit.
Yeah.
What is it that can pull us away from engagement?
Yeah.
And phones, certainly, work, money, right? And then let's go back all the way back to being fathered, right? I mean, I'm in recovery, you're in recovery, restoration, healing. I carry that with me. My relationship with God, I don't want that to be a distraction from my engagement with my kids, but we travel. We're at conferences.
Yeah.
We're trying to help guys keep this together. And it can be a distraction of our own fatherhood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no question about it, man. There's a lot that can get in the way of this thing. And, there's certainly, going back to our map, there's certainly, an intention by the kingdom of darkness to make that so.
Right.
But I think there's so much of it that is under our own control. And that's not to make anyone feel condemned or whatever. I mean, I get distracted plenty often. I think if we can exercise our will and understand the purpose behind the need for that, then it becomes a little bit clearer. And so, again, this question is a little bit of assessment, but it's also so that we can see it better.
Yeah.
So
go to the second question.
Yeah.
Ask me. I'm so excited to answer this question.
Yeah. Jesus, would you show me one ordinary moment this week where I could practice intentional presence?
This morning.
Tell me.
So yesterday, a situation happened with one of my girls in her car, her vehicle, right? You get calls. Hey, Dad, my car's making a funny sound, right?
Right.
So this is an ordinary moment.
Uh-huh.
And how you respond, well, what did you do? No.
Well, have you changed the oil, rotated the tires like I told you?
Yeah.
Don't do that.
So tell me what's happening. So anyway, she called and was upset a bit about this thing that had happened that's going to require her car to get into a shop. And it basically, bottom line was, a bunch of water had spilled from a container from the back seat with the brakes into the floor, opened up, and she had a good gallon of water now across all that, which goes past the carpet into the what's that?
Oh, the padding underneath,
the padding, and then the metal. So now you got lots of things that and so she had done that. She was so mad that it happened. And what do I do? I said, well, bring it over and we can, let me look at it.
I got to shop back.
And we can, and so we put the fan on it, and but we didn't pull any carpet up or anything like that. We just brought the towels, put the fan on it. This was a few days ago. So anyway, it's still wet, it's still damp, and she gets looking, she's a researcher, which is great, but you got to be careful. But it could lead to mildew and smells and all that stuff. So she's like, Dad, I think this is going to be mildew. I might need a new car. I was like, hon, we're texting. You don't need a new car. We can take care of this. So, but let's talk about it later on. And she was working later. She was just kind of texting in between. So anyway, making this a long story, but the engagement was, she'd actually found a shop that would do that. Google, multiple stars.
Yeah.
Highly rated.
Right.
I was like, Hannah.
Get the moisture out for her.
Yeah, Dad, but I don't think they can, I can't do without my car. Well, just so happens I have an extra car right now because of some family things that are going on. So I said, well, how about I meet you tomorrow, which was this morning, and you can drive the Jeep, and
we're getting taken care of.
Really? Get that great kind of really? Yeah, absolutely. So I get to engage, and then, but what I had in my pocket was, so I pull up, and there's Hannah. Oh, we're opening the place up at 8. The guy was great. So now she's in the car with me in the Jeep. She's got to take me home, drop me off. And here was the ticket, the validation, the piece that I got to get. I said, you know what, Han, you did that amazingly. I said, I get it. That is such a disruption. I remember when another daughter got swiped and the guy took off. It's so inconvenient. It is inconvenient when this stuff happens, but it happens. And I said, you are one of the best researchers I know. Really?
Yeah, man.
Right? I mean, so when I hear that question, what would be an ordinary moment, just an ordinary moment this week where I can practice intentional presence?
So this is I love that you shared that story, because this is where the rubber meets the road, right? I mean, when your kid calls, or you're coming home, or whatever the interaction that's about to happen, the 3 seconds that it takes for you to go, well, Jesus, I don't know what this is about, but give me an opportunity.
Yeah, amen, man. That's a great
that's being
perspective.
present.
That's being present. I
know?
love that.
Yeah,
super good. One of the guys who's the best at this I've ever seen, and wildly, he has like 8 kids, is Chris Hartenstein.
Oh man, he's a great
He's got 8 kids. So if you're in a conversation with him, there's a good chance you're going to be put on hold.
Yeah, I got to take this. Yeah.
It's my daughter in Arizona.
And bro,
it's my son in Wyoming.
Do it. It's way more important than whatever we were talking about.
I think, okay.
Good for you.
And sometimes it's, hey, let me call you right back. I need to deal with this. So
you've been real intentional about it.
I'll ask you this last one.
Yeah.
Holy Spirit, how are you showing and inviting me to your presence in my own life? And how might that shape the way that I show up for my child? So how's God being present for you is the idea, the translation. And experiencing that presence, maybe that could impact the way that you then want to be present as a parent.
Yeah, well, let me say this. If I am pursuing intimacy with God, there is no way I could possibly prevent it from influencing the way that I interact with my kids. There's no way, because when you are in a position where you're deepening intimacy with the Father, now it might not be immediate,
right?
There's some things that He, God, and I are talking about right now. Maybe it'll get to wrestling. We'll see. But we're talking about it. And so because I'm in the midst of those moments and those conversations, it hasn't really worked its way down into my relationship with Sherry and Stephen and Autumn, his wife, and Colby, Noah, their wives. So, there's no way you can keep it, though. If you're on that journey of unraveling and growing and deepening intimacy with God, there's no way it doesn't influence. So I prelude all of that, my answer with all of that, just to say the space I'm in right now and where God is moving me is a deepening of my relationship with him. And, I think you live in a space of absorption and taking things in, right?
Yeah.
And, maybe sampling a few things and I really enjoyed that I'm not so sure. And now I'm turning, not that I'm still doing that, but I'm turning into a place of deepening where God has taken me over the last 10 years.
That's awesome.
And I really want to bring that into, and I'm still trying to figure out what that looks like. And I might even ask him, because he's home right now. I might even
with your
ask
son.
him. Yeah. Stephen's home. Yeah. So I might ask him and say, here's where I'm at. How have you experienced me?
Yeah. This, one of the things that you were sharing in your answer that I want to put a little light on has to do with, you have been moving in this direction of orientation for 15 years. Yeah. So even when you were speaking, I'm like, nah, there's some guy, and this is pursuing intimacy with God's going to relate to. So I just would say, hey, this process of intimacy with God has some presuppositions, right? That God is good, and not everything in my world is. He's not the cause of that. There's just a lot of theology that really is behind, I think, what you said that that I can't get into right now. But I still agree. I see. I believe everything that you've said and have my version of that. Mm-hmm. That instead of being afraid of God and the punitive, which we talked about in an earlier episode, that's what God is like. We've come to understand and experience God in a very different way, and that different way is what has been translating into our fathering, and our parenting. So
thanks for saying that.
I just want to give anybody out there who's like, what is he talking about? That was a proper response. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know, join us in April.
Or go back and listen to some of our other episodes.
And the long journey of your own personal healing and restoration and training is where that intimacy plays out. I
have to say this in response to that really quickly, and then we can wrap up. What's been interesting and what I recognized, but I recognize again in what you just shared, or through what you just shared, is that my journey of deepening intimacy with God and gaining more understanding about what has been in the way of that for me has moved me to a place where forgiveness and grace is available to me to give to my Father.
Strong. It's a strong idea. Strong. Yeah. Super good.
And so I think that, I bring that up because I felt like I should, but also because I think we can get in a place of keeping ourselves distant from God because of what we're harboring
and
maybe.
Projections, and experiences we had.
And I'm not saying we should start with forgiveness, even though that might sound heretical to some, because if you start there, I'm not sure you even understand what you're forgiving.
Yeah.
So the journey of my deepening intimacy with God has led me into places that I didn't know I was going to go, and directly related to how I was fathered, which then is directly connected to how I father.
It's well said. And that this idea of being present and engaging, I think what I'd like to close with is, I love that invitation to intimacy with our kids.
Yeah.
Knowing and being known. This invitation to intimacy with the Father. I mean, it's all about love all the time. And I believe that, when we can offer, and it can be hard because you're trying to offer something as a dad that many of us didn't get. And so we're trying to close that distance, and we're trying to move into some training circles, for example, where questions are actually going to serve you in pursuit and engagement. So what I mean by, you can inadvertently be shutting down a conversation because it's not a conversation, it's a dictation. Let me tell you what we're going to do. Let me tell you what you're going to do. When you start down that road, it's dictation.
Yeah.
And you're expecting them to take notes and, somehow snap out of how they're feeling and thinking and just get in line with your brilliant idea. So, and when they're 6, you're bigger and stronger and intimidating, like I said before. And so you might jump into that.
Hey, my son's calling me, so
he's probably waiting for us, isn't he?
We're
supposed to get out of here.
Yeah.
So anyway, to wrap it up, I just want to, if there's one practical thing at that final question, and in the ordinary moments, and be present, I would say, it is to learn to ask the questions, and maybe it's the questions you wish someone was asking you.
That's right.
But learn to ask the questions. So instead of, let me tell you what we're going to do, you can turn that very same thing into a question like, well, what do you think if we did this?
Yeah. Or what do you think we should do?
It has a question mark on it rather than, let me tell you what you're going to do. Well, what do you think it might look like if you did this?
It was one of the things that I love so much, and I'm just kind of learning how to do. I love so much that Jesus does that so often. Just ask questions.
It's ridiculous.
And I mean, it can be infuriating to you, or you can look at it and say, maybe I should do that more.
I showed you this once. I did an exploration in a study. I found it in working on one of the books, and it's in King Me, actually, about him asking questions. And I'm trying to remember the number.
That's a lot of them.
But it was a lot. It was like 800 questions.
And at times where
that
other
Jesus
people would think
had question marks.
Right. And at times where you would look at it like the pool at Bethesda, do you want to be well?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Are you really asking him that question? It's really fascinating.
As the King of Kings, right? He's asking questions. And what that
not because he doesn't know the answers,
but because he's trying to draw us in engagement and to his presence.
That's right.
That's how that works. So if you can just bump a couple points more in your average of asking questions rather than making declarations, you're on your way. That just watch and see. Right, and you better have a couple of them because they may not swing at the first one. And how's this or how's that is all that is an opener.
Right.
Well, I remember last month you really liked Miss Johnson. Is it Miss Johnson? No, Dad, it's Miss Stevens. I mean,
whatever.
Okay,
it is.
All right. Note. So what changed? What's happened over the last month? And yeah, who knows what you'll uncover.
But
that's the point. Get in there and try to uncover some of those things through some questions. So that's the Father who is present, and I hope that this has been helpful. We'll continue to explore Father Matters in the episodes to come. We'll see you next time on the Exploring More podcast.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of Exploring More. The landing page for this podcast is zoe.org/podcast. That's ZOWEH.org/podcast, where you can find the show notes and various platforms to which we broadcast. You can also find us and the Life of More by visiting Zoe on YouVersion Bible app, Right Now Media, our Facebook page, and Zoe on Instagram and Twitter. Remember, with God there is always more, and you were made for more.